Well, good morning. The May 5th edition here of the Channel CropCast this week in South Central Nebraska. And I am Tyler Brugdenhill, your technical agronomist. And lots of questions coming out of this past weekend, of course, with the cooler and in some cases, in some areas, freezing temperatures that occurred. With that in mind, let's jump right into growing degree day percent of average. So this is showing from April 1st through the 4th of May, really growing degree day accumulation as a percentage. So 100% means we're right on average or right where we should be. For my territory, I'm seeing anywhere from a 14 to 30% increase in growing degree day accumulation. So does that mean we're out of the woods for in terms of emergence and evenness in corn stands? No. The reality is uh, just because of the fact that we're this far ahead does not necessarily mean it's been a consistent ahead as we saw this past weekend. So we've had this roller coaster effect that I've talked about in years past where you get these super warm days, also coupled with these just very odd cold stretches that may only be 2 to 3 days, but sets us back in terms of you get a seed that's experiencing 75 to 80-degree air temperatures during the day, but then we experience anywhere from 30, 40, in some cases at the warmest 50 degrees air temperatures at night. That really kind of causes a tug of war, so to speak, when it comes to emergence. So with that in mind, looking at the emergence risk gap, I wanted to go back over the planting dates that I saw in my area. Some of the earliest being the 14th of April, which would have given you a fairly low risk, surprisingly, to plant into. So you'd have had about 10 days to emergence, which would have put you at April 24th. But again, in terms of risk overall, you were actually fairly low risk. Now, if you'd have waited 2 weeks later on the 28th, that would have dropped you into the medium risk category. So not awful by any means, but also carries a little bit more risk than, say, the April 14th date actually did. Uh, Fast forward another week to the 4th of May rather, and you drop back into that low risk category. So, again, I look at this and I go, man, planting the 28th of April versus the 4th of May, you're talking 3 days difference in emergence there. But if I wait that extra, say week, um, yeah, I'm 3 days later on emergence, but I drop into that low risk category. So probably getting a lot less risk, not only from the emergence standpoint, but could I be getting less risk from disease, less risk from time in the soil, so to speak. Again, the second we put that seed in the soil, everything starts working against us. It has the highest yield potential in the bag. The second it hits the soil, it's all kind of deletions, right? And it's how we minimize those deletions that really adds up to the bushels we put in the tank at the end of the year. So with deletions, right? Soybean replant decisions, we talked about this already with the upcoming frost event that looked like it was going to happen. We had a couple nights that ultimately and likely took some of the soybeans out that were emerged that got planted early. So how do we really think about replant decisions? Well, I'm going to make this really simple and somewhat succinct. If we're looking at stand loss percentage, I'm way more apt to put a new soybean stand in the ground today than I will be in 3 to 4 weeks. We still got a lot of great weather to grow soybeans, still got a lot of yield potential on the table. So if we have even a stand that we're kind of iffy about, I would say replanting today is going to be a really good thing to think about because we still have so much good growing weather left. Again, calendar date plays a big part in that. In another 3 to 4 weeks, my mentality on that's going to change pretty drastically. Okay. The other things that I think about is, hey, what trait package and herbicide package did we want to go along with that? Have we already used some chemistry that is going to affect what that replant policy is going to look like? Those are some things to think about for sure. I've had questions on increased seeding rate. Now, typically, the later we go, I don't get near as picky about seeding rate. I'm still getting soybeans planted today on irrigated anywhere from 140 to 160,000. So, as of today, I'm not worried about increased seeding rate. That's only something I typically will think about if I'm going early to alleviate some of that early stress on the plant and potential stand loss. Reality is, I think once we get past today and tomorrow for South Central Nebraska, it looks like a pretty consistent warming trend coming for us. I feel like we're going to get the air temperatures where we typically will see them this time of year. So, again, it's one thing that I would definitely coach folks on. Contact your local seed professional in your channel, FSR, SA, TA, to get out there, do those replant counts with them, make the decision together. Don't feel like this is something you got to decide right on your own, but make sure we have a good, healthy stand going forward. The reality is, if we've lost stand today, we still have to make it through hail and all the other fun events that we get to walk through agronomically in South Central Nebraska. Um, it won't be the only stand loss that we have to unfortunately go through. So we want to make sure we're starting out with the best that we possibly can. So with that being said, and talking through stand loss, in the corn world, we start to think about emergence, and then we start to think about seedling diseases, right? And two of the most common ones that I usually get calls about are Fusarium and Pythium. And this is really true when we think about cooler and wetter soils. Now, that doesn't sound like maybe what we're going through right now, but the reality is we've definitely had the coolness. And like it or not, we've been putting a lot of irrigation water on right now. So this is not one that we're necessarily out of the woods on for these two seedling diseases yet. Fungicide protected seeds will definitely help with both of these. Recommended depths, planting into warm, dry soil. But the reality is, we haven't had that luxury this year. So these are two that I would definitely be watching out for as we start scouting these stand counts, looking at early established stands. If we see a couple that don't look quite right, these are two definitely big diseases that could be affecting our stands early on here as we think about this. So with that, uh, encourage you to be safe, make every acre count. And if you have any questions, reach out to your local channel team with any questions about recommendations. And we will see you next week.